Donald Trump is boycotting South Africa. He wants to teach South Africa a lesson and is pushing very, very hard. Trump has said some very harsh things about South Africa. He says South Africa is not worth it. Why is South Africa even part of the G20? You know, referring that South Africa is probably a shithole country. That's saying shithole without saying shithole. Like, why is South Africa part of the G20? I am not going over there. Is Trump trying to teach South Africa a lesson by pushing it against the corners? Will South Africa bow down to Donald Trump? You're going to find out about this. What are the real reasons why Trump is pushing against South Africa? We need to find out about this. Before we start, fellas, can I ask you to do this? Can we all do this, fellas? It's cost you nothing. We feel appreciated. Thank you very much for doing this. Thank you. Well, it's great. It's always beautiful to see you and to talk to you on the matters that concern the continent, the motherland. A couple of days ago, I was at traveling across Africa. I happened to be in South Africa, matter of fact. As I was traveling for business, I met some African American, like a couple, old couple, like senior couple. The man is probably around, late 60s or 60, something like that. They spoke to me very nicely. I really appreciated that. The friendship, the amicability. They just came, hey, it's you. How are you? It was beautiful to see. And props to you. Thank you very much, Uncle. I salute you. I see you if you watch this. Thank you very much. We want people. Let's get to this so we can understand. What is Trump on about?
Generations, Miami has been a haven for those fleeing communist tyranny in South Africa. I mean, if you take a look at what's going on in parts of South Africa, look at South Africa, what's going on. Look at South America, what's going on. I'm not going to, we have a G20 meeting in South Africa. South Africa shouldn't even be in the Gs anymore because what's happened there is bad. I'm not going. I told him I'm not going. I'm not going to represent our country there. It shouldn't be there.
Well, Donald Trump announced that the United States of America will boycott upcoming G20 summit in South Africa. What is G20? G20 is basically the event that unites 20 of the most powerful economies in the world. Yes, and South Africa happened to be part of it. And for the very first time, an African country is organizing the event. And that is exactly when Donald Trump decided to boycott. He's not going to South Africa. Not just him. Initially, he said, I'm not going. He's probably going to send somebody. But it's clear. He said nobody's going. No American delegation is going to G20. So the message is very clear. We are not interested in you. Who gave them the right to be part of the G20? Did you see him when he was speaking like that? Oh, how come they are in G20? Like, they shouldn't be even there. They shouldn't be even there.
Meeting in South Africa. South Africa shouldn't even be in the Gs anymore because what's happened there is bad. I'm not going. I told him I'm not going. I'm not going to represent our country there.
Okay, well, South Africa has been doing a lot of work. Recently, when I was in South Africa, there's a lot of work being done to make things ready for G20, which is a massive event. And it's great that South Africa is representing the entire Africanness. Now, we need to find out, because a couple of months ago, Trump was very on and on about South Africa and how they treat white people. They condemn South Africa, saying there's a Gino happening in South Africa against white people. And it was crazy. You saw this at the White House. South Africa sent people in the White House to justify themselves because Trump put a lot of pressure. Now, the question is, why is Trump on about South Africa? Even though they proved that there was no Gino against white people, specifically in South Africa. Why is he still on? We're going to find out about that. I love my energy. I hope you love it too. So Trump called it a disgrace that South Africa was hosting the event. A disgrace. Wow. Repeating debunked claim that genocide of white South Africans happening. Now, obviously, South Africa has responded. A member of the ANC. The ANC is the political party in power, the political party of Nelson Mandela. The Secretary General of the ANC, Fikile Mbalula, accused Trump of deliberately distorting South Africa's democracy to stoke racial fear ahead of the US elections. Now, the DA is the Democratic Alliance. It's a predominantly white political party in South Africa. Well, this is what they say. The Democratic Alliance criticized the ANC. Okay, they didn't criticize Trump. They criticized the ANC, Black South African. So let me make it clear. White South African political party criticized the Black South African political party for weakening South Africa's global standing by aligning with controversial partners like Iran. suggesting this made it easier for Trump to justify disengagement. So, as you would think in a family, you would try fight each other internally, but whenever something comes from external forces, you will come together to fight against it. Well, that's not the case in South Africa. Well, somebody's punching your brother, and you're telling the brother, the reason why they're punching us now is because of you. You shouldn't have done whatever that is. Instead of saying, let's push this person first, then we can talk about this. That's what it is. Well, Argentina's president has signed up with Donald Trump. Yes, this man right here, Javier Milei, has announced that he will not attend the G20 leader summit in South Africa. So he has boycotted South Africa too, this man. So in support of Donald Trump, Javier Milei has boycotted South Africa. He's not going to the G20. This would have been Milei's second engagement as president with the forum that brings together the world's 20 developed and emerging economies. So you're probably asking yourself a question. You want to find out why? Why is Argentina boycotted South Africa? I mean, did you know that I believe South Africans have visa free to Argentina? You know that, eh? South Africans, I know a lot of you don't like traveling. Eh? I just want to stay kaya. Nizobai kaya. You must travel, my friend. You have a passport. You need to go see what's happening out there. Okay, that will reduce the xenophobia and stuff. I know you're getting triggered. No, not all South Africans are xenophobic. Absolutely not. You know, some of the South Africans are some of the best people I met. So chill out. Some people are xenophobic. Absolutely xenophobic. You can't even talk to them. Some of them don't even speak English. Those ones are xenophobic. But yeah, you find South Africans, once they speak English to you, they cool. Anyway, let's get back on track. So Milei of Argentina is boycotting South Africa over the unaliving of Afrikaners. Argentina is not going to be represented. So let's try to find out a little bit. You know me, I always have to dive in to find out for you because I don't like bringing you news that I learned for somebody else, because that's what some people do on YouTube. They go watch somebody else's video, then they go remake the same video. No. I'm gonna dive inside, plunge inside to find out why is this guy boycotted South Africa, or at least why is this guy supported Trump? Let's find out. Number one, it is said that the decision to skip South Africa summit has happened after Argentina received $20 billion financial lifeline from the U.S. Treasury. Oh, okay. So Argentina just received $20 billion from the United States of America. How much is $20 billion in rand? That's about 1 trillion rand they've received from the United States of America. So will that justify the fact that you line up with the country that just sent you money for free? I don't know. Number two, let me remind you here that Donald Trump was not very happy that South Africa took the country you then named to court. You know the country you don't name. You don't name that country. If you name it, unfortunately, your YouTube video will be throttled, slowed down or shadow banned. Shadow banning just means they don't ban it officially, but the video is not being shared to nobody. So you may have 1 million followers, but the video will be shown to 5,000 people. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. If you say the country name, unfortunately, the video, so the country you don't name. Now, South Africa took the country you don't name to court over Gino happening in that place against the people that you know. South Africa was the only country in Africa, in the world, to stand firm, to take them to court, the international court, for the things that was happening in that place. And Trump was not very happy about that. And Donald Trump is, number one, a very good friend of the country you don't name. Donald Trump apparently has converted to that religion. You know, how many religions? Does he have the right to do that? Absolutely. Well, but does it potentially create a bias? Well, that's a subject that should be discussed. What's interesting here, we're talking about the Argentina president, Javier Milei. Okay, so Javier Milei, what's happening with Javier Milei? Milei's revelation. In April 2024, while speaking at Shul of Baal Arbor at Shabbat in a synagogue, you know what's a synagogue, in Miami, Milei disclosed that he was of that ancestry. Okay? He was of that ancestry. Which ancestry? That ancestry. I'm sorry, I can't say the name if you say, I'm just caring about my video. That's all. I don't care about anything else. He disclosed himself that he was of that ancestry. He didn't say he is today. He said he was of that ancestry. He was honored there as an international ambassador of light. International ambassador of light for his outspoken support for the country you don't name and the ancestry cause. You know what I'm saying? Milei has often incorporated the country you don't name symbol, their religion at least, in his public persona, despite not practicing that religion himself. So he said himself, my ancestry is from there. Now, would that be a reason why Trump likes him? I don't know? Question mark. I'm just asking. Well, that perhaps a reason why, or another reason why he wouldn't go to South Africa, since South Africa took them to court. Well, I don't know. I'm just thinking. You can let it think. We have some serious questions here. The serious question number one is, why is Trump doing this? I mean, Trump said South Africans are unaliving white people, okay? White farmers. You know, the history of South Africa, white people came from Europe, Germany, France, Holland, coming all the way to Africa. They went and positioned themselves here in South Africa. They didn't come to steal and run like in many other African countries, because yes, white people in Congo, Uganda, Kenya, Burundi came to steal and go back to Europe. The ones that went to South Africa went to stay. Okay, so they went as conquistador to find a new place to live. These people are called Afrikaners. Now, are there Afrikaner farmers being unalived? Absolutely truth. Is there a genocide of Afrikaner farmers? Well, as per the definition of genocide, no, not at all. Are there other people being unalived as well besides Afrikaners? Yes, black people, farmers are also being unalived. Is there a problem of crime in South Africa? There's definitely a problem of crime in South Africa that needs to be attended to. Now, just because there are also black people being unalived doesn't mean they should not pay attention or give it the necessary tools to resolve this issue that Afrikaners are subjected to. Absolutely, they should be giving them the necessary tools and all the stuff that they need. Now, initially, Trump said, you see this picture, Trump was showing the South African delegation in the White House saying, you see all this stuff, these are white people in South Africa being genocided. Well, some of the crosses were not real tombstone. No, it was just representative of whatever people were thinking. That's what was confirmed. Some of the pictures that they pulled out was actually things happening in Congo, this country here, DRC. It was Ebola. So it had nothing to do with South Africa. Now the question is, did Trump know about this? Oh, probably not. You know, you're the president. You don't necessarily do research like that. Somebody does the research and give you the piece of paper. Yo, this is that. You know what I mean? If the case of Gino has been debunked, what is Trump on about then? You're asking, right? No, there is definitely not white people being Gino in. Now, why is Trump still going on? Why is he still talking about Gino in South Africa? Well, it's very simple. We're going to find out about that. Could it be perhaps because Trump wants to please the white American Christian public? You know, reinforce the fact that he's a savior, he's a protector. You know, you fight for the cause of white people. I mean, people that connect with that way of thinking. You know, like life is about races. You know, the blacks against the white. Not everybody thinks about that. You know, some people firmly believe it's about the blacks and the whites. I mean, they want you to think it's the blacks and the whites so you can be distracted with the blacks and the white while they're living life, while you are busy with the blacks and the whites. So you think Trump perhaps is doing this so he can please the people that think very much about the blacks and the whites, so he's defending the whites? Number two, is he perhaps doing it to weaken the BRICS? You can clearly see that South Africa is a very good friend of Russia, China, and Iran. You know, they have deals and stuff. And we know Russia, China, and Iran are not very good friends with the West. So how about, because you friends to my enemies, I'm going to punish you as much as possible. I'm not going to make it official, but you know, I'm going to slap you in the face from time to time if I can. Number three, do you think it's perhaps because South Africa took the country you don't name to court? They haven't cancelled the accusation up until now. Number four, do you think Trump is perhaps trying to be the savior of the Afrikaners? I mean, making the Afrikaners feel like you have somebody somewhere there that's trying to save you from the blacks. And last number, finally, is something very interesting. Okay, so the G20 is also about treaties that were signed. Okay, countries came together to sign a treaty about what? All these countries were worried about climate change. They say the world is warming up. Okay, it's getting hotter and hotter and hotter. Why? Because they believe that it's because of industrialization, because of the companies and the buildings and the transformation. That's the reason why the world is getting hotter and hotter and hotter. What are the consequences? The consequences are flood, inundations, fires coming from all over the place, polar ice melting, hurricanes like the one we just seen in Jamaica. So experts believe that the reason why we're seeing these things is because of climate change. Now, G20 sat together, had a discussion saying we need to bring down industrialization, or at least to change the type of fuel we're using. The more you're using fossil fuel, meaning coal, petroleum, and others, you are warming up the earth. And Trump felt that was unfair on the United States of America because China is still producing, India is still producing. Why should America stop? They signed what was called the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement is legally binding international treaty on climate change, adopted in September 2015 at COP21 in Paris. Its central goal is to keep global warming well below 2 degrees above pre-industrial levels, which striving to limit it to 1.5. So they signed the paper. Every country in the world will try to produce less, or at least use less of the fossil fuel, so that the world can calm down a little bit. Well, some people believe that, people of Trump's side don't necessarily believe in that science. They don't think that science is correct. They think it's flawed. They're not going to stop America because it's in the disadvantage of the United States of America of producing, and they're not going to do that. So some people believe that this could be perhaps a move by Trump, but let me pull out of G20 because, I don't like their policies anyway. Why should I stay in this thing? Let me just pull out because it's going to weaken them if America is not present. Like I said earlier, the questions are very simple. Why is Trump doing this? Is Trump doing this to gain popularity among Americans, white American Christians? Number 2, is it because he wants to push against Russia, China, and Iran, who are very good friends to South Africa? Number 3 is because of the accusation of South Africa against the country you don't name over there. Number 4, is it because Trump wants to gain sympathy of white Afrikaners in South Africa as a protector and a guide? Number last, is it for the Paris Agreement itself, on which America pulled away anyway? Is it because of G20? By pulling away, we're weakening G20 anyway. Let me know how you feel about this. It was a great pleasure. God bless.